Welcome back to another build showcase. Today we're going to be doing a gifted conviction arc hunter build. I'm really excited for this build. Let's jump right into it. Starting off on this build, for our super, I have the Gathering Storm set up. It doesn't necessarily need to be Gathering Storm. You can run Arc Staff or even Storm's Edge for that matter. However, Gathering Storm just does a decent amount of damage. It's a lot of fun to use. We're going to be using our Gambler's Dodge to get our melee back. We're going to be using triple jump, just personal preference. You can use whatever jump you want. Combination blows for our melee because we're really not going to be using our traditional melee in this. So it really doesn't matter which one you use, but ease of use if I do end up doing this. Plus, you can restore a little bit of health if you do end up actually using the normal melee. And then our pulse grenade, because personal preference, I like the pulse grenade. Another good option would be the flashbang grenade, just to blind targets. Moving on to our aspects, we're going to be using Ascension. The reason we're going to be using Ascension is it jolts enemies and amplifies you and allies around you, as well as just doing AoE damage. Plus, it combos really well with our gifted conviction, because anytime you use Ascension, it's going to drop arc grenades in a circle around you. For our second aspect, we're going to be using Tempest Strike, much for the same reason as Ascension, because anytime we use Tempest Strike, it's going to drop additional arc grenades around us in a circle, causing extra damage. Additionally, you're going to be jolting, and it gives you bolt charge on kills. If you're enjoying this build showcase, make sure to leave a like and subscription down below. That way I know you're enjoying it. Additionally, leave me a comment if you have a build that you want me to cover, and I'll make sure to cover it in a future video. Moving on to our fragments, we're going to be using Spark of Resistance because we're going to be using Tempest Strike a lot. We're going to be up close and personal with the enemies. You're going to be surrounded by combatants very often. You're going to want this to be more resistant to the incoming damage. We're going to be using the Spark of Shock. Our grenades jolt targets. This is just good in general. It's always good to jolt enemies, make it a little bit harder for them to fight back. Now, Spark of Ions, anytime you defeat a jolted target or defeating a target with bolt charge, which we'll be doing both quite often, we're going to create an Ionic Trace. Ionic Traces just got buffed, which means we're going to be getting a ton of our ability energy back every single time we collect an Ionic Trace, because we're pretty much going to be jolting every single target we defeat. We're going to be getting our abilities back instantly and very often. Next, we're going to have the Spark of Discharge. Arc Final weapon kills create an Ionic Trace. Ionic Traces give us a stack of Bolt Charge. This is going to pair well with this as well, because every time we create an Ionic Trace, we're going to be getting Bolt Charge, which means we're going to have our Bolt Charge every couple of seconds, which means we're going to be destroying enemies. And finally, the Spark of Frequency. Melee hits increase your equipped weapon's reload speed, and while amplified, these effects are increased, and we gain increased stacks of bolt charge from all sources. Again, getting more bolt charge super quickly is always good, as well as considering we're going to be using our melee very often in the form of Tempest Strike, we're going to be getting a ton of reload speed and stability for our weapons. Moving right along to our weapons. For your main weapon, it doesn't really matter what you use. I'm using a fusion rifle, the scatter signal, because we're going to be dealing with unstoppable enemies, and I want to make sure I have a way to stop them. For our secondary weapon, again, it doesn't wholly matter what you use. Ideally, you're going to be using an arc weapon, something with jolting feedback or rolling storm, eddy current. Any of those would be fantastic for this build. Rolling storm is going to give you more bolt charge. Jolting feedback is just going to jolt enemies and create an electric pulse around them, which is going to be nice. Chain electric damage to enemies. For your final heavy weapon, normally you're going to be using a arc weapon. However, I've been using the Tomorrow's Answer. Just recently got it with Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch, and I've been loving it. However, using a machine gun or linear fusion rifle or anything like that that has arc abilities on it would be good here. Now on to our armor. As per usual, we want our resilience to be tier 10, 100 out of 100. So whatever you need to do to get that there, you want to make sure you do. After that, you're going to want a higher strength and a higher discipline, just because that is going to give you your grenade and melee back even more. Now, for our helmet, I'm actually running an intellect mod because my intellect is pretty low with this armor set, and so I wanted to make sure I had my super back as often as possible. And so I went ahead and put an intellect mod on there. You can interchange that for a strength or discipline or whatever really you want to buff up. For our other mods, we have 2 arc siphons. Because we're going to get a lot of arc weapon kills, you want to make sure that you're getting those orbs of power to increase our damage and get our super and abilities back faster. For our arms, we've got the resilience mod, and then we've got a melee final blows create orbs of power. Since we're going to be using Tempest Strike a lot, this is going to give us a lot of orbs of power. And then just impact induction, causing damage with our powered melee attack, is going to give us grenade cooldown, get our grenade back faster. And then I just have a fastball on there because I had an extra point. For our gifted conviction, we've got a resilience mod on there, and then for the artifice upgrade, we have recovery, just because my recovery was kind of low, and I could get it up to the next tier with that. And then we have incoming arc damage, harmonic resistances. These can be exchanged for whatever's helpful, and then I have an arc reserves just because it gives us a little bit more ammo for our arc weapons. This is not necessary. You can change this out for something else, maybe a concussive dampener to decrease incoming AoE damage. On our legs, we're going to be running 2 arc weapon surges just to increase our arc weapon damage. And then on our cloak, we're going to be running a bomber to reduce the cooldown of our grenade anytime we use our class ability. Next mod, we're going to be using Reaper, because anytime we use our class ability, if we get a weapon final blow, which we will, we're going to create an orb of power. And then another bomber just to decrease that grenade cooldown further, since we're not going to be getting that back as quickly as we would our melee and class ability. Alright, to showcase this build, we're going to be doing the Expert Lost Sector, the Broken Deep, in the Pale Heart. Now we have Overload champions to deal with and Unstoppable champions. For the Unstoppable champions, we have our Fusion Rifle to deal with them. For the Overload, we're going to be relying on our jolting effects to deal with them. And we see there that it's a strand threat, and so what we're going to actually do is throw on some strand resistance mods just to increase our resistance to the strand damage that's going to come at us. Alright, jumping right in, these first couple enemies are really easy. It's the first room that we'll need to worry about. We saw that pulse just happen, so we know it's safe to go past. Go ahead and take these guys out. Really easy. Go ahead and take these ones out as well. Right. You can see we're getting a nice shocking effect going across most of the enemies we're shooting here, thanks to our setup. Getting all those ionic traces, so we're getting all of our abilities back super quickly, which is really nice. Alright, this is where we kind of got to be a little careful, because now that the big guy has spawned, we want to make sure we get him stun locked, basically, otherwise we're gonna have a bad time. See how quickly we just dismantled this room. Realistically, we used what, 3 melees and 1 class ability in a single room, basically without a cooldown. Alright, this next room is very similar to the first one, where you gotta kill a couple guys and then it'll spawn a unstoppable. Alright, got enough ionic traces to get this up. We're gonna go ahead and blast these guys here. Alright, looks like we got the spawns. Maybe not yet, actually. It's kind of wild. Here it is. Now we've got the spawns, so we'll get the enemies coming in. And boom, this room is all but taken care of. Super easy cleanup here. One thing to note, this is where the overload champions are. Go ahead and take them out real easy from a distance, because otherwise those actually can be quite annoying. I'm gonna get these guys with this. We're gonna get bounced all around because of the... We're gonna punch this guy because otherwise he was gonna kill us. I will say these like punch things are so annoying. You have to be careful around them, otherwise you're just gonna get ricocheted all around. Now, this boss arena is a pain. Let me tell you right now, it is a pain. This boss will absolutely fudge you up, so you got to be a little careful and safe with how you fight him. Hide around corners, things like that. We're gonna go ahead and just whiff our ult, our super there, because why not? Now, I went ahead and threw my grenade there, and that was probably not a smart idea. Uh-oh. Fudge. This is the worst. We're gonna die here, probably. I will say, like, his abilities, the boss's abilities, track you without like any restrictions. They will follow you around corners and just wreck you. It's very silly sometimes. All right. Now I need to let my health regen a little bit here. Oh, there's the boss. We missed that. That's okay. We're gonna go ahead and get our envious arsenal and bait and switch up. We're gonna do it again. Then we're gonna hide around a corner. I'm actually surprised that didn't hit me, if I'm being honest. All right. Good, we're gonna take care of that guy and get the heck out of there because the boss is gonna wreck me. Boom, boom. You have to destroy those little pillars to be able to do damage to the boss. Wherever he ended up. There he is. We're gonna go ahead and shock him. And we're gonna hit him with this. Then we're just gonna hit him with another one of these. And a nice little boom. And we're good to go. And I actually didn't have bait and switch up there. But either way, absolutely owned him. Even with how annoying he is. But you can see how quickly that can go bad. I know I've died hundreds of times there because of that boss. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, and this build helps you out, make sure to leave a like and subscription down below so you do not miss any more of my build showcases. Additionally, if you have a build you want me to highlight or you want me to show off, make sure that you leave it down in the description so that I can build it and make a video on it and get it out for you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next one.